All right, so get ready, because we're about to take a deep dive into the Alpha Lead Academy. This program, it's all about supporting young Black men, especially in their journey through STEM. And we've got some fascinating data to really dig into here, pre and post program surveys, plus a good overview of the academy itself. And one thing that really jumped out at us, a pretty surprising shift in college preferences among the participants. So let's see if we can unpack that together, huh?
Yeah, it's definitely a shift worth exploring. But first, though, it might be helpful to understand what Alpha Lead Academy is trying to do, what their focus is. Their focus is on high schoolers, specifically grades 10 through 12. And their mission is to build leadership skills, academic strength, and social achievement. They specifically target young men who are showing drive and a clear desire to succeed.
It sounds like a pretty comprehensive program.
Yeah.
What are some of the things they actually do?
Well, they've got a pretty impressive 6-part curriculum. They cover career development, which is probably expected given the STEM focus, but also personal development, men's health and wellness, college readiness, community service and development, and even professional and gentile etiquette. And it's not just a quick workshop either. We're talking about a program that runs over multiple weekends, culminating in a formal graduation ceremony. That shows a real commitment.
Multiple weekends. Wow. That's definitely not just dipping their toes in the water. Okay, let's take a look at who exactly we're talking about here. What does the demographic data tell us about the participants?
The participants in this program were all male and all identified as Black or African American. They came from a whole range of high schools, too, which suggests a pretty diverse mix of socioeconomic backgrounds.
That's interesting, because it means we're not just looking at a single type of student experience here.
Yeah.
This program is clearly reaching young men from a variety of different contexts. All right, now I'm really curious about this shift in college preferences you mentioned earlier. Can you give us the numbers?
Absolutely. The pre-program survey showed that a majority of participants, 54%, preferred predominantly white institutions or PWIs. Only 31% were leaning towards historically Black colleges and universities, or HBCUs at that point. But then in the post-survey, something fascinating happened. The numbers almost completely flipped.
Really? Okay, I'm hooked. Tell me more.
45% of the participants now preferred HBCUs, and another 45% were unsure. So a pretty dramatic shift away from PWIs and a significant increase in interest towards HBCUs.
Wow, that is a huge change. I mean, to go from a majority preferring PWIs to almost half being interested in HBCUs.
Yeah.
What do you think could explain such a significant shift?
Well, I think the program content and the exposure to successful Black role models probably played a big role. Imagine spending several weekends immersed in this program, right? Learning from Black professionals and mentors who maybe even attended HBCUs themselves. You're hearing their success stories, seeing their passion and feeling that sense of community and support firsthand could definitely make you rethink your assumptions about what kind of college experience would be best for you.
That makes a lot of sense. It's not just about the information. It's about the feeling, the energy.
Yeah.
If you're suddenly surrounded by people who look like you, thriving in a space that was created for them, it's bound to have an impact.
Exactly. And that idea of representation is so powerful, especially when you're talking about young people who are still figuring out who they are and where they belong in the world.
Okay, so we've got this major shift in college preferences, which is already super fascinating. But you mentioned something earlier about STEM self-efficacy, and I'm really curious to see how that plays into all of this. What did the pre-program survey tell us about how these young men felt about their STEM abilities?
The pre-survey data on STEM self-efficacy is interesting because it's not a simple story of low confidence. Overall, the participants had a fairly positive view of their abilities in STEM, but there were definitely some areas where they felt less sure of themselves. Research skills and exam performance were the two that stood out.
Can you give us some specifics? What were the actual numbers telling us?
Sure. For instance, when it came to learning STEM subjects, they averaged a 1.79 on the confidence scale, which isn't bad. But when it came to doing well on STEM exams, the average dipped to 2.14. So there's a clear difference there, even though their overall perceptions of their STEM abilities were generally positive.
It sounds like there's a bit of a gap between feeling capable of learning STEM and feeling confident about actually performing well in a STEM setting.
You've hit the nail on the head. And that's where things get really interesting. Because when you look at the qualitative data, some potential reasons for that gap start to emerge. Participants were asked about obstacles they faced in STEM. And they pointed to things like their commitments to athletics, lack of interest in certain STEM subjects, job responsibilities, and just the demanding nature of their coursework in general.
Ah, so it's not necessarily just about their internal belief in their abilities. It's about their external circumstances as well. Being a high school student is hard enough as it is. Then add in jobs, sports, a heavy course load, and suddenly even the most capable student might start to doubt themselves.
Exactly. It highlights the fact that academic performance isn't solely about ability. It's about the whole context in which that ability exists. It's about the support systems, the resources, and the environment that either nurture or hinder that potential.
So, we've got this picture of young men who are generally positive about their STEM potential, but they're also facing real-life challenges that could be impacting their confidence, particularly when it comes to things like research skills and exams. I'm dying to know what happens next.
Did the program make a difference? Did their confidence change at all after going through Alpha Lead Academy?
Well, that's what we're about to explore. The post-survey data reveals some pretty significant shifts. We see improvements across the board in their confidence in learning STEM subjects, in their confidence in doing well on exams, and even in their confidence when it comes to research skills. And what's even more interesting is that these improvements seem to be connected to some very specific aspects of the program itself. Remember how in the pre-survey data there was a noticeable difference, between the participants' confidence in learning STEM subjects versus their confidence in, doing well on STEM exams.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like there was a bit of a mental hurdle there, even though they felt, generally good about their STEM capabilities overall. Well, in the post-survey, that gap starts to close. Their confidence in learning STEM subjects actually went down slightly, from a 1.79 average to a 1.64 average.
Wait, their confidence went down. That's unexpected. Isn't that a bad thing?
Not necessarily. Remember, we're looking at a scale here. A slight decrease could actually mean that they're becoming more aware of the complexities of STEM subjects. Maybe they're realizing that it's not just about memorizing facts, but about applying knowledge and developing critical thinking skills.
I see what you mean. It's like they're moving beyond a surface level understanding and delving, deeper into the subject matter. So it's not that they're less confident in their abilities,
Hmm.
but maybe more realistic about the challenges involved.
Exactly. And that's reflected in the other confidence scores. Their confidence in doing well on STEM exams increased to a 1.82 average. Even more impressive, their confidence in research skills, which was initially a weak spot, jumped to a 1.91 average.
That's a really significant improvement, especially in an area where they initially felt less sure of themselves. What aspects of the program do you think contributed to those gains?
Well, remember the six-part curriculum we talked about earlier? Two of those areas, career development and professional and gentile etiquette, seem to be playing a key role here.
Okay, I could see how career development would be directly relevant to, boosting STEM confidence. But professional and gentile etiquette, how does that fit in? It seems a little out of place in a STEM-focused program.
It might seem that way at first glance, but think about it this way. STEM fields aren't just about technical skills. They're also about communication, collaboration, and presenting yourself professionally.
Right. Success in STEM often involves working on teams, communicating complex ideas effectively, and navigating professional environments.
Exactly, and that's where professional and gentile etiquette comes in. It's about equipping these young men with the social and interpersonal skills they need to thrive in those settings. Things like, active listening, respectful communication, presenting yourself with confidence, and understanding professional norms.
So it's not just about knowing the science, it's about knowing how to be a scientist.
Yeah.
It's about understanding the culture of STEM and developing the soft skills that are, essential for success.
That's a great way to put it. And I think that's a big part of what makes Alpha Lead Academy so effective. They're not just focusing on the hard skills, they're recognizing that STEM success requires a holistic approach.
All right, that makes a lot more sense now. It's about developing the whole person, not just the technical side.
Hmm.
Now, remember those external factors that participants mentioned as potential obstacles. Things like athletic commitments, job responsibilities, and demanding coursework. How does the program address those challenges?
Well, Alpha Lead Academy takes a multifaceted approach. One key aspect is mentorship. Participants are paired with successful Black professionals in STEM fields who can provide guidance, support, and encouragement. These mentors can share their own experiences, navigating similar challenges, offer advice on time management and prioritization, and help participants stay motivated and focused on their goals.
Mentorship is such a powerful tool. especially for, young people who might not have access to those kinds of role models
Hmm.
in their everyday lives. It's about having someone who believes in you, who sees your potential, and who can help you navigate the ups and downs of pursuing a challenging path.
Absolutely. And it's not just about one-on-one mentorship either. Alpha Lead Academy fosters a sense of community among the participants. They're going through this experience together, supporting each other, learning from each other's successes and challenges. That kind of peer support network can be incredibly valuable.
It's like building a brotherhood, a network of support and encouragement that extends beyond the program itself. They're not just gaining knowledge and skills, they're building relationships that will last a lifetime.
And that sense of community ties back to the shift. In college preferences we discussed earlier, choosing a college isn't just about academics. It's about finding a place where you feel a sense of belonging, where you can connect with others
Yeah.
who share your experiences and aspirations.
Right. So maybe that increased interest in HBCUs isn't just about exposure to successful Black role models. Maybe it's also about recognizing the value of community, of being part of a supportive environment that understands and celebrates Black excellence.
Exactly. It's about feeling seen, heard, and valued for who you are. And that's something that can have a profound impact on a young person's sense of self-worth and their belief in their own potential.
It's about creating a space where they can truly thrive, academically, professionally, and personally. All right, so we've talked about the program's impact on college preferences and STEM self-efficacy. But there's another piece of data that really stood out to me. The fact that 68.45% of participants reported a better understanding of their career pathway after completing the program. That's huge.
It is. And it speaks to the power of exposure and experience. Remember those 6 curricular areas? Well, career development is front and center in this program.
What are some of the specific ways they address career development within the program?
They bring in guest speakers from a variety of STEM fields, professionals who are working in the trenches, doing the real world work. Participants get to hear about their career journeys, their challenges, their successes, and what it's really like to work in those fields day in and day out. It's not just about the glamorous side. It's about getting a realistic picture of what a STEM career entails.
It's like demystifying STEM,
Yeah.
showing these young men that these careers are attainable,
Yeah.
that they can see themselves in those roles.
Exactly. And it's not just about hearing from professionals. They also incorporate hands-on activities and workshops that allow participants to explore different STEM fields in a practical way. They might get to build a robot, design a website, or analyze a set of data. It's about giving them a taste of what it's like to actually do the work.
So it's not just about talking about STEM. It's about giving them the opportunity to do STEM.
Yeah.
That's a huge difference.
It is, and I think that hands-on experience is key to sparking interest and building confidence. When you have the opportunity to actually try something, to experiment, to maybe even fail and learn from those failures, it changes your whole perspective.
It's about moving beyond the theoretical and into the realm of, possibility.
Yeah.
Suddenly STEM isn't just a subject in a textbook.
Right.
It's a potential path, the future they can envision for themselves.
Exactly. And that's where the 68.45% comes in. It's not just about knowing that STEM careers exist. It's about understanding what those careers actually entail, what skills and knowledge are required, and how their own interests and talents might align with those fields.
It's like they're going from a vague idea of maybe STEM to a concrete plan of, this is the specific path I want to pursue.
And that shift in mindset is crucial. When you have a clear vision of where you want to go, it's much easier to stay motivated and focused, to overcome those external challenges we talked about, and to persist in the face of setbacks.
It's like having a compass,
God.
guiding them toward their goals. All right, so we've seen how Alpha Lead Academy is impacting these young men's college preferences, their STEM self-efficacy, and their career awareness. But there's another aspect of the program that I think is worth exploring, their focus on men's health and wellness.
That's a really important piece of the puzzle. It's about recognizing that success isn't just about academic or professional achievements. It's about, well-being, about having the physical, mental, and emotional resources to thrive in all aspects of life.
It's about understanding that you can't pour from an empty cup. You need to take care of yourself, to prioritize your own well-being in order to be successful in any endeavor.
Exactly. And that's especially true for young Black men who are often facing, unique challenges and pressures. Alpha Lead Academy creates a space where they can address those challenges, where they can talk about their experiences, and where they can learn coping mechanisms and strategies for, maintaining their well-being.
It's about building resilience, developing self-awareness, and understanding the connection
Mm.
between physical, mental, and emotional health.
Exactly. And it's not just about talking about these issues. Alpha Flight Academy incorporates activities and workshops that promote physical activity, stress management, and healthy lifestyle choices.
So it's a holistic approach to well-being,
Right.
addressing the physical, mental, and emotional aspects.
Right.
It's like giving them a toolkit for self-care, equipping them with the skills and knowledge
Mm.
to navigate the challenges of life and to prioritize their own health and happiness.
That's a great way to put it. And I think that focus on well-being is a
Right.
key part of what makes Alpha Lead Academy so transformative. They're not just preparing these young men for careers in STEM, they're preparing them for life.
They're giving them the foundation to build a successful and fulfilling life, both personally and professionally. All right, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about college preferences, STEM self-efficacy, career awareness,
Mhm.
and men's health and wellness. What other insights can we glean from the data?
Well, there's one more piece of the puzzle
Yeah.
that I think is worth mentioning. The program's emphasis on community service and development.
Right, that was one of the 6 curricular areas, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's not something you typically see in a, STEM-focused program.
It's not, but I think it's a brilliant addition. By incorporating community service into the program, Alpha Lead Academy is instilling a sense of responsibility and purpose in these young men. They're learning that success isn't just about individual achievement. It's about giving back to your community, about making a difference in the lives of others.
It's about understanding that they have a role to play in shaping a better future, not just for themselves, but for their community as a whole.
Exactly. And it's not just about the act of service itself. By engaging in community service, these young men are developing valuable skills like teamwork, problem solving, and leadership. They're learning to see themselves as agents of change, as people who can, make a positive impact.
It's about empowering them
Mhm.
to step into their full potential, not just as STEM professionals,
Mhm.
but as engaged and responsible citizens.
And I think that's a powerful message, especially for, young people who might feel marginalized or overlooked. It's saying, you have a voice, you have value, and you have the power to make a difference.
It's about planting the seeds of social justice and civic engagement, empowering them to become leaders and advocates
Yeah,
in their communities.
exactly. And those skills and values will serve them well, no matter what path they choose in life. All right, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, exploring the various ways Alpha Lead Academy is impacting these young men's lives.
We've seen how the program is influencing their college preferences, boosting their STEM self-efficacy, shaping their career aspirations, and nurturing their overall well-being. It's a truly holistic approach to education and development. It's amazing to see how a program like this can create such a ripple effect, touching on so many different aspects of these young men's lives. But I'm curious, did the program have any impact on their, concrete plans for the future, like their intentions to pursue higher education?
That's a great question. And the data actually reveals a really interesting trend there. Remember how we talked about the shift in college preferences towards HBCUs? Well, that shift seems to be connected to a broader increase in their academic ambitions.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
In the pre-program survey, the participants were asked about their plans to take graduate admission exams, like the ACT, SAT, GRE, or MCAT. The average score on that question was a 4.14. Which, keeping in mind the scale, indicates a relatively low intention to pursue those exams. But in the post-survey, that average jumped to a 3.64.
So their intention to take those exams,
Yeah.
and by extension, to pursue higher education, actually went up quite a bit.
Precisely. And I think that speaks volumes about the impact of the program. It's not just about changing their perceptions of college. It's about giving them the confidence and the motivation to actually pursue those goals.
It's like the program opened up a whole new world of possibilities for them. They went from maybe college to grad school. Here I come.
That's a great way to put it. And I think that newfound ambition is directly tied to the program's emphasis on mentorship and representation. When you see people who look like you succeeding in academia,
Yeah.
it changes your whole perception of what's possible for yourself.
It's about seeing yourself reflected in those who have walked the path before you and realizing that you too can achieve those goals.
Exactly. It's about breaking down those barriers,
Right.
those internal and external obstacles that might have been holding them back, and replacing them with a belief in their own potential.
Now, one thing that really stood out to me when we were looking at the program overview was the inclusion of professional and Gentile etiquette. as a core component. In a world that often sends, mixed messages to young black men, I'm curious to know how the program approaches this aspect of their development.
It's a really important and often overlooked aspect
Huh.
of preparing young people for success. And the way Alpha Lead Academy approaches it is very thoughtful. It's not about forcing them to conform to some, outdated notion of what it means to be a gentleman. Instead, it's about giving them the tools and the knowledge to navigate professional spaces with confidence and authenticity.
So it's not about erasing who they are, but about equipping them to present themselves in a way that, commands respect and opens doors.
Exactly. It's about understanding the unspoken rules of the game, so to speak, and being able to play it strategically. It's about teaching them how to communicate effectively, how to build rapport, how to dress for success, and how to conduct themselves in a professional setting.
It's about giving them the power to control their own narrative, to, defy stereotypes, and to present themselves as the capable and confident young men they are.
Precisely. And it goes beyond just the external presentation. It's also about cultivating qualities like integrity, respect, and compassion. It's about helping them develop a strong sense of self-worth and a commitment to treating others with dignity and kindness.
It's about developing the whole person, the inner character, as well as the outward presentation. And I think that's particularly important for young black men who are often navigating spaces where they might feel judged or underestimated.
Absolutely. It's about giving them the tools to not just survive, but to thrive in those spaces. It's about empowering them to be their authentic selves while also understanding the nuances of professional etiquette and how to, leverage it to their advantage.
So it's not about fitting into a mold, it's about breaking the mold
Yeah.
and redefining what it means to be a successful black man in today's world.
That's a great way to put it. And I think that's what makes Alpha Lead Academy so special. They're not just preparing these young men for, specific careers. They're preparing them to be leaders, to be change makers, to be forces for good in their communities and in the world.
It's about planting seeds of hope and inspiration that will continue to grow and blossom long after they've completed the program. So as we wrap up this deep dive into Alpha Lead Academy, I'm struck by the transformative power of this program. It's not just about academics or career development or even social skills. It's about empowering these young men to become the best versions of themselves and to create a brighter future for themselves and for their communities.
I couldn't agree more. The impact of this program goes far beyond the individual participants. It's about creating a ripple effect that extends to their families, their communities, and ultimately to society as a whole.
And that's what makes this work so important. It's about investing in the next generation. In the future, leaders who will shape a more just and equitable world.
And programs like Alpha Lead Academy are showing us that it's possible, that with the right support and guidance, these young men can achieve anything they set their minds to.
That's it for our deep dive into Alpha Lead Academy. We hope you've enjoyed this journey and come away with a deeper understanding of the incredible work they're doing. And to our listener, we leave you with this. Think about the young people in your own life. How can you support their dreams? How can you help them discover their passions and achieve their full potential? Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep